Hello everybody, this is Nancy Drew, and this video is about what Patsy and John Ramsey said about that morning in their police interviews compared to what Rick French wrote in his police report and what Detective Linda Arndt wrote in her police report. Also, this episode mentions how Patsy Ramsey answered the door to Officer Rick French wearing her red sweater and black pants, and that her hair was done and her makeup was on. I drove in the back through the alley into the garage. JonBenet had fallen fast asleep. I carried her inside and took her upstairs and put her in bed. Put her on her bed. Patsy came up behind me, and then I went down to get Burke ready for bed. He was down in the living room, working on a toy he got, putting it together, and tried to get him to go to bed because we had to get up early the next morning. But he wanted to get this toy put together. So I worked with him on that for 10-15 minutes probably. Then I took him up to bed and got him in his pajamas on. Probably brushed his teeth. Then I went upstairs from there and got ready for bed. I read there a little bit. The lights went out around 10:30ish or 10:40. On the way home, JonBenet had fallen fast asleep in the back seat. I got her out of the car and carried her upstairs to her room, laid her on the bed, and took off her coat and shoes. I was amazed at how sound asleep she was. It had been a long day for her. Patsy came in to finish getting JonBenet ready for bed. Baby, I'm amazed at all the things that you do. Meanwhile, I went downstairs to try to get Burke to come up to bed, but he was deeply involved in assembling the miniature parking garage he had received that morning. I could tell he wasn't going to bed until the project was finished, so I settled down on the floor beside him, helping him complete what his mind was focused on was the best way to get us both in bed quickly. At about 9:30, I led Burke upstairs and got him ready for bed, then tucked him in and turned out the light. I went up to our room on the 3rd floor, which was converted from an attic space to a master's suite in 1993. Patsy was already in bed. I got ready, took a melatonin tablet to ensure a good night's sleep, set the alarm clock for 5:30 a.m. and read in bed for a short while before turning out the light. They told me that they had spent Christmas night with the Whites and that they arrived home at 10 p.m. Mr. Ramsey said he read to both kids for a short time and then they were in bed by 10:30 p.m. Notice in French's report, it says that John read to the kids, and it says nothing about JonBenet falling asleep in the car. In Stein's and dropped off a little gift and drove home, and JonBenet was asleep. She had fallen asleep in the car. Well, she was just really zonked, and John carried her up to her room. And I, ran up behind him or in front of him. I can't remember. Maybe. Or it might have been in front of him to turn the bed down. And he laid her down, and I got her undressed and I left her shirt on her and went into the bathroom and tried to find some pajama pants. And all I could find was some like the long underwear pants. John Ramsey told me that he and his family had been at a dinner party held at the Whites' home on the afternoon and evening of December 25th, 1996. John, Patsy, Burke, and JonBenet had returned home at approximately 10 p.m. John told me that Patsy and Burke went to bed. John had read a book to JonBenet, tucked her into bed, then John went to bed. John said he went to bed at approximately 10:30 p.m. Here, in Detective Arndt's account, John was alone with JonBenet and read a book to her. And again, there's nothing about JonBenet falling asleep in the car. Well, I'd gotten up a little before the alarm went off, 5:30, 5:25 a.m., and went and took a shower. Was getting dressed and heard Patsy screaming, and I ran downstairs and I think probably intercepted her maybe in the landing there, the second floor landing. I don't remember exactly, but she showed me the note. And we got up at 5:30, I think. I think John got up first, and I got up just right behind him. And he went to his bathroom and shower, and I went to my bathroom. I did not shower that morning. I just put my clothes on and did my hair and my makeup. And then I started down the stairs. John was still in the bathroom, and when I stopped kind of briefly there in the laundry room area. And I remember the ironing board was up, I think, and I fussed around with this little red jumpsuit of JonBenet's because it had some spots on it. And I was going to remember to do something with that when I got back. So I had the light on in there in the laundry room area. Then I started down the spiral staircase there. I had come back down. I'd come down the back bedroom stairs there. Okay, you pick up the note and start to read it. Go back upstairs to JonBenet's room, is that correct? Well, I don't remember if I picked it up or just leaned over and read it. I can't remember. I don't think I picked it up, because I remember just then bounding up the stairs toward her room. Do you remember hitting any of those papers? Maybe sliding or anything as you were running back up to your room? I don't remember. I just ran as fast as I could. Mrs. Ramsey told me that she had gone into JonBenet's room at about 5:45 a.m. to wake her in preparation for a short trip the family was to take later that day. She found JonBenet's room empty and then discovered the note as she walked down the stairs. She immediately called the police. Notice in French's report there's no discussion about the note, and John isn't there, and Patsy immediately called the police. Well, it wasn't very long before the uniformed officer showed up, and I met him. I remember talking to him in the hallway, the front hallway, and I said, "Our daughter's missing." And I remember him saying, "Did she run away?" And I said, "She was only 6 years old." And at one point, I don't remember if I had the note in my hand or Patsy brought it, but I showed him the note. And then some other people started to arrive. John directed me through the house and pointed out a 3-page handwritten note which was laid on the wooden floor just west of the kitchen area. He told me that his wife had found the note on the bottom step of a spiral staircase which led to the upper levels of the house. I'm uncertain about who moved the note. Officer Rick French gets to the house within minutes. He is met at the front door by a distraught Patsy Ramsey who is wearing black pants and a red sweater and whose hair is neatly done and makeup in place. John Ramsey appears wearing a long-sleeved blue and white striped shirt and khaki slacks. They escort French through the kitchen to a back hallway where 3 pages of white legal tablet paper are spread out on the wooden floor. Again, John Ramsey is confused about holding the ransom note or where the ransom note was. Why is he confused about this? Sometime between 5:30 and 6 a.m. and walked around here to the bathroom, and I did not take a shower that morning. So I don't know, what exactly I did here. I mean, other than just get dressed, brush my teeth, put on my makeup, and get ready to go. Foundation, okay. Are there other things that you put on? Blush, lipstick. I probably didn't really do a terrific job. I mean, just getting a little bit on and go, I heard John turning on the water in his bathroom and realized that it is still dark, as we always do before departing for an early morning trip. John and I will get dressed before waking up the children. Just before we're ready to leave, we'll get the kids up. Sometimes we can even load them in the car in their PJs so they can resume sleeping in the airplane. Slowly, the normal routine for an early morning flight comes into focus. Take a shower, get dressed, get going. I swing out of bed and abruptly remember that my shower is still broken. Don't need one this morning, I think to myself. Just put my clothes on. And, of course, my makeup. I remember my mom's words, never leave the house without your makeup. Plus, we are going to be with Melinda's fiancé, Stuart, so I want to make a good impression. Patsy would repeatedly start crying. She would be unable to speak. Patsy repeatedly asked, why didn't I hear my baby? She looked physically exhausted. Patsy would close her eyes, but was not able to rest or sleep. During a press conference, after John and Patsy had given their first police interviews, John Ramsey said that his friend, who just happened to be an attorney, told him that he thought things were developing in this case and he would like permission to do some legal things. And John said, fine, do it. And so he, John's friend, retained counsel for Patsy and I. Michael Bynum, John Ramsey's close friend and corporate attorney who had been away snowshoeing, now arrived at the Fernie's house. As he walked in, the family was kneeling in the living room praying with Reverend Hoverstock. Around 7 p.m., John Ramsey went for a walk with John Fernie and Dr. Francesco Bouffe, JonBenet's physician, who had brought over some medication for Patsy. When they returned a half hour later, Ramsey asked Bynum to represent him. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and tomorrow night another episode on the Zodiac Killer case, and there will be an episode on the Lisanne Froome and Chris Kramer's case about that photo 509. So I'll see you then.